Welcome to Crimes Beyond Borders, where we'll bring you the most thrilling true crime stories every single day. If you're fascinated by mystery, intrigue, and the darker side of human nature, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us as we unravel the most shocking and perplexing criminal cases from around the world. The story is about to begin after this intro.
From city streets to far-off lands, mystery slipping through our hands. Crimes beyond borders they speak, voices strong but words are meek. Every story leaves a mark, whispers softly in the dark.
Our stories at first are made for ourselves, to comfort us, to help us sleep, and to learn. Along the way, they become a part of our journey, teaching us English and fueling our passion for true crime. So, listen carefully, and if you're about to sleep, close your eyes. Let's begin.
The Watts Family Murders, a hidden nightmare. Frederick, Colorado, is a quiet town with tree-lined streets and tight-knit communities. Among its residents were the Watts family, Chris Watts, his wife Shanann, and their two daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3. By outward appearances, they were the perfect family. Shanann often shared glimpses of her life on social media, her two lively girls, her excitement over her third pregnancy, and her appreciation for Chris, whom she frequently called her rock. But behind this picturesque facade, tensions were boiling. Financial troubles, mounting debt, and an increasingly strained marriage painted a different picture. Chris, who worked long hours in the oil and gas industry, had grown distant. Shanann, who worked in a thriving direct sales business, was trying to hold her family together. Little did anyone know, this perfect family's story would come to a harrowing and brutal end. Background: Shanann and Chris's relationship. Shanann and Chris met in 2010 and quickly fell in love. Shanann often spoke about how Chris came into her life at a time when she was dealing with severe health issues, including lupus. She credited him with bringing stability and love into her world. They married in 2012 and soon welcomed their daughters, Bella and Celeste, into their lives. From the outside, the couple seemed happy. Shanann was active on social media, sharing posts about her life, her family, and her work with Thrive, a health and wellness company. She was a vocal advocate for the company, often posting about how its products gave her energy and focus to tackle her busy life. But privately, their lives were less idyllic. The couple had filed for bankruptcy in 2015, citing over $70,000 in debts. Their lavish lifestyle, complete with a large home and luxury purchases, had taken a toll on their finances. Despite these challenges, they maintained the appearance of a happy family, at least publicly. The build-up: a crumbling marriage. In 2018, Shanann became pregnant with their third child, a boy they planned to name Nico. While Shanann was ecstatic, Chris's behavior began to change. He grew distant, spending more time at work and at the gym. Unbeknownst to Shanann, Chris had started an affair with a co-worker, Nicole Kessinger, who was unaware of the full extent of Chris's family life when they began their relationship. Shanann noticed the changes in Chris. In text messages to friends, she expressed concern that he seemed less affectionate and uninterested in their marriage. She even wrote him a heartfelt letter during a work trip, pleading with him to recommit to their family. Chris responded coldly, offering vague reassurances, but no real effort to repair their relationship. The night of the murders. On August 12, 2018, Shanann returned home late from a business trip. Her friend and colleague, Nicole Atkinson, dropped her off at around 2 a.m. Atkinson noticed that Shanann seemed unusually quiet, but she chalked it up to exhaustion. What happened next was pieced together from Chris's later confessions and forensic evidence. Shanann and Chris argued in the early hours of the morning. She confronted him about their relationship and suspected infidelity. Chris, already planning to end his marriage, saw this as the tipping point. He strangled Shanann in their bedroom as she pleaded for her life. Their daughters, Bella and Celeste, were in the house during the murder. After killing Shanann, Chris wrapped her body in a sheet and carried it to his truck. He then woke his daughters, who were confused and frightened but still alive. Chris drove them to a remote oil field where he worked. At the site, Chris smothered Celeste first, placing her body in an oil tank. Bella, the older of the two, watched in horror as her sister was killed. Bella reportedly pleaded with her father, asking, "Daddy, please don't do to me what you did to Cease." Despite her pleas, Chris killed her and placed her body in another tank. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave nearby. The investigation begins. By mid-morning on August 13th, Nicole Atkinson became concerned when Shanann missed a scheduled doctor's appointment. Shanann's phone, purse, and car were still at the house, but there was no sign of her or the children. Nicole contacted the police, who conducted a welfare check at the Watts home. Chris arrived during the welfare check and seemed unusually calm. He allowed officers to search the house, which appeared undisturbed except for an unmade bed and Shanann's wedding ring left on a nightstand. Chris explained that Shanann might have taken the children to a friend's house, but his story lacked conviction. As the hours passed, Chris's demeanor raised red flags. He avoided eye contact, appeared emotionless, and didn't seem genuinely worried about his family. Investigators quickly began to focus on him as a suspect. Cracking the case. Detectives brought Chris in for questioning and conducted a polygraph test, which he failed spectacularly. Confronted with the results, Chris initially claimed that he and Shanann had argued and that she had killed their daughters in a fit of rage. He claimed he had then killed Shanann in a moment of anger. Investigators were skeptical of this story. Using GPS data from Chris's work truck, police discovered that he had driven to a remote oil field the morning of the murders. A search of the site led to the discovery of Shanann's shallow grave and the oil tanks where Bella and Celeste's bodies were hidden. The evidence against Chris was overwhelming. In addition to the GPS data, text messages revealed his affair with Nicole Kessinger, who told police she had no idea Chris's wife was pregnant or that their marriage was salvageable. The confession and trial. Faced with mounting evidence, Chris ultimately confessed to the murders. He admitted to killing Shanann and their daughters, though he maintained that Shanann's death was not premeditated. Investigators believed otherwise, pointing to his calculated actions and efforts to dispose of the bodies. Chris was charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder, tampering with a deceased body, and unlawful termination of a pregnancy. In November 2018, he pleaded guilty to all charges to avoid the death penalty. On November 19, Chris was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. During the sentencing hearing, Shanann's parents delivered emotional victim impact statements, expressing their grief and anger, but also their desire to see Chris face justice. Life after the murders. The Watts family murders left an indelible mark on the Frederick community and the nation. The case sparked widespread outrage and discussions about domestic violence, family annihilation, and the psychological pressures that can drive people to commit such heinous acts. Shanann's parents, Frank and Sandra Rzucek, have worked to keep her memory alive. They established scholarships in her name and advocate for awareness about domestic violence and family safety. Chris Watts remains in prison in Wisconsin, where he is housed in protective custody due to the nature of his crimes. He has given several interviews from prison, admitting to the full extent of his actions and expressing remorse, though many question the sincerity of his words. The legacy of the case. The Watts family murders serve as a chilling reminder of the hidden dangers within seemingly ordinary lives. They highlight the importance of recognizing the signs of domestic violence and the devastating impact of unchecked anger and betrayal. Shanann, Bella, Celeste and Nico are remembered not just as victims, but as beloved individuals whose lives were tragically cut short. This story continues to haunt those who followed it, a stark reminder that darkness can lurk even in the most idyllic of settings. Public reaction and media coverage. The Watts family tragedy captivated audiences worldwide, not just for the brutal nature of the crime, but because it unfolded in the digital age. Shanann's social media presence provided an eerie prelude to the events. Videos of her laughing with her children, sharing intimate family moments, and expressing joy about her pregnancy became a stark juxtaposition to the horrific details that emerged. This case sparked widespread debate on multiple fronts. Social media's role. Critics and commentators discussed the pressures of maintaining an idealized life on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Shanann's frequent posts painted a picture of happiness that belied the turmoil brewing behind closed doors. Many wondered if these pressures exacerbated the couple's issues. Domestic violence awareness. Advocacy groups highlighted this case as an example of family annihilation, a term used to describe the horrifying phenomenon where perpetrators, typically male, murder their families, often to escape perceived failures or conflicts. Law enforcement effectiveness. The swift resolution of the case was seen as a testament to modern investigative techniques. From GPS tracking to cell phone data, technology played a critical role in unraveling Chris's lies. Nicole Kessinger, the other woman. Chris's affair with Nicole Kessinger became a focal point of the investigation. Kessinger, a co-worker, initially claimed she had no idea Chris was married when their relationship began. However, text messages revealed that by the time of the murders, she knew of Shanann's existence, but believed Chris and Shanann were separating. She maintained that she was unaware of Shanann's pregnancy. After the murders, Kessinger cooperated with investigators, providing evidence of her relationship with Chris. She described his growing obsession with her and his desire to start a new life. The affair was seen as a potential motive for the murders, as Chris likely viewed his family as an obstacle to his new relationship. Kessinger faced immense public scrutiny and even threats, forcing her into hiding. While she was not implicated in the murders, her involvement in Chris's life remains a controversial aspect of the case. Chris Watts's psychology. The question of why Chris Watts committed such heinous acts has been the subject of intense speculation. Psychologists and criminologists have analyzed his behavior, pointing to traits associated with narcissistic and psychopathic tendencies. Chris exhibited signs of emotional detachment, a lack of empathy, and an ability to manipulate those around him. His calm demeanor during the initial investigation, his willingness to go on television and plead for his family's return, and his calculated disposal of the bodies suggest premeditation and a disturbing level of emotional coldness. Experts also point to his desire to maintain an idealized image. The financial struggles, marital issues, and pressures of fatherhood clashed with his affair and vision of a new life, possibly leading him to view his family as expendable. Impact on the Rzucek family. For Shanann's family, the pain of their loss is immeasurable. Her parents, Frank and Sandra Rzucek, have spoken publicly about the toll the murders have taken on them. They have described sleepless nights, constant grief, and the weight of knowing how their daughter and granddaughters suffered. The Rzuceks have also faced harassment from conspiracy theorists online. Some individuals have spread false claims that the murders were staged or that Shanann was to blame. This harassment led the Rzucek family to take legal action and speak out against the damaging effects of such baseless accusations. Despite their pain, the Rzuceks have worked to honor Shanann's memory. They advocate for domestic violence awareness and have established funds to support victims and their families. Chris Watts in prison. Chris Watts is currently serving his sentence at the Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. Due to the nature of his crimes, he is in protective custody, isolated from the general prison population for his safety. In prison, Chris has reportedly expressed remorse for his actions. He has participated in interviews, providing more details about the murders and admitting to premeditation. Many, however, view his remorse as insincere, given the calculated nature of his crimes. Chris's life behind bars is marked by monotony and isolation. Reports indicate he spends much of his time reading the Bible and reflecting on his actions. Whether this reflects genuine repentance or an attempt to garner sympathy remains a matter of debate. A chilling legacy. The Watts family murders stand out not just for their brutality, but for how they unfolded in the public eye. The case serves as a sobering reminder of the hidden struggles that can exist behind seemingly perfect lives. It has left a lasting impact on the Frederick community and beyond, sparking important conversations about domestic violence, mental health, and the pressures of modern life. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico are remembered as vibrant individuals whose lives were cut tragically short. Their story continues to resonate, reminding us of the importance of vigilance, empathy, and addressing the warning signs of violence before they escalate into tragedy. In the end, the Watts family murders are more than just a true crime story. They are a heartbreaking tale of betrayal, loss, and the far-reaching consequences of unchecked anger and deceit. Through advocacy, awareness, and remembrance, Shanann and her children's lives continue to inspire efforts to prevent similar tragedies in the future.
The story has come to an end, but stay relaxed. If you feel yourself drifting off to sleep, just let the video play and enjoy the soothing music in the background. Let it guide you gently into rest. We'll be here, bringing you more stories every night. Sleep well, and see you tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Flickering lamps dimly glow, secrets hidden where few will go. In the half-light, truth begins to show. Unseen forces pull and tow. Windows shut, curtains drawn tight. Lonely figures melt in the night. Echoes fade out of sight. Moonlight bathes the world in fright. Ticking clocks, relentless sound. Time slips when danger's around. In the shadows, lost and found. Haunting silence so profound. Flickering lamps dimly glow. Secrets hidden where few will go. In the half-light, truth begins to show. Unseen forces pull and tow. Windows shut, curtains drawn tight. Lonely figures melt in the night. Echoes fade out of sight.